For my final SWOT presentation, I chose to do the company Marriott International, the hotel chain. I chose this company because I work there, and so not only can I find a lot of the information about this company, but there's also a lot that I already know. So starting off with the company background, it began in 1927 by Jay Willard and Alice Marriott, actually as a small A&W root beer franchise. I believe it had 9, 10 like bar seats in it, and there was just a few employees serving root beer. In 1928 to 1953, they renamed the business as Hot Shops, and they continued to develop, diversify into new markets like food. In 1957, they opened their first hotel, the Twin Bridges Motor Hotel, as the Marriott couple stepped into the hotel industry. In 1969, it opened its first international property in Mexico, which was the 11th total hotel. And then 1977, construction began on the first headquarters building. And 1977 to now, the Marriott brand has just continued to grow, create new brands, as well as create the Marriott Bonvoy Rewards program that has been very successful. Moving on to strengths, first is that 41 hotel brands are under the Marriott name, which is an extensive amount of brands that vary from different levels, from high-end luxury to medium scale, and just different full service and then like partial service hotels. 9,400 total properties. Secondly is a huge global presence. They have properties in 139 countries and territories worldwide, which is definitely a big foothold within the global presence of the hotel business. They also have a leading loyalty program called the Marriott Bonvoy Rewards program. 203 million total members, which is just a number that's significantly larger than any other hotel chains, and proves that people continue to come back to Marriott, especially because of these rewards. Fourth is just high brand name recognition, and fifth is their large customer base, bringing in a lot of revenue. Moving on to weaknesses, is that they depend too much on third-party owners. Only 1%, less than 1% of properties by Marriott are actually owned by Marriott. They're normally they're a lot of times they are owned by like management companies or just franchises. Second is that large data breaches in the past have affected 344 million customers as a result of their poor security measures. And this has also affected the Marriott hotels itself. Third is the very large amount of company debt, $16.88 billion as of September 2025, which is a significant amount of debt that they are holding right now. Fourth is the very high operational costs of hotels in general, but they also have very, very high costs to maintain. And then lastly is too rigid of a structure that can reduce morale and employee satisfaction. The corporate can be a little bit too much breathing down people's necks, and it can harm more than it can help oftentimes. Next is opportunities. I'd say that the first opportunity is marketing to new demographics. According to Muse.com, millennials are going to make up 50% of hotel customers within the next few years, which is a significant amount. So just being able to market, whether social media or anything like that, keeping up with trends to bring in more of that millennial travel to our hotel brand. Next is expansion within the Middle East. The Middle East is a hugely growing travel destination. In 2024, 18.72 million overnight guests stayed in Dubai, which is a record-breaking number. So as travel continues to expand there, Marriott can step more into that region and gain more business. Next is adopting to the eco-friendly travel standards. 81% of travelers value sustainability, and so just more stepping into that, into the green, becoming greener and more sustainable for these travelers. Next is increasing online and social media marketing to reach younger audiences, kind of having to do with the first one, but focusing on the social media aspect of it and online. Last is engaging in more local events, becoming more community oriented, and just partnering with more local organizations in order to gain trust and bring in more customers. Lastly is threats. The first one is operating costs that are significantly rising and expected to continue to rise. This needs to be taken into account, especially with the amount of debt and things like that. That's going to be a threat, is trying to handle the rising operating costs. Next is high competition from other brands. The main one I'd say is Hilton, as it's the second leading hotel chain, and right now Hilton is higher than Marriott in a few areas, such as their customer satisfaction, which is at 80%. Marriott is only at 78%, as well as Hilton's average prices, or prices for their rates for their rooms, are a little bit lower than Marriott's, which can attract more customers. Third is the cybersecurity threats. As technology is advancing, there's more potential for threats of cybersecurity. And data breaches and things like that. This 31% of hospitality businesses have experienced these disastrous events of these data breaches. Next is advancing technology innovation and different marketing strategies as things are changing very quickly and there's more trends. They can be difficult to adapt to and stay up to date on, so that's going to be a challenge for Marriott. And lastly is major hindrances to travel. We saw this with COVID-19. This was a huge hindrance to the travel industry as a whole. So just being able to prepare beforehand, well, that can be a challenge. And so this is definitely a threat, is these unprecedented, unforeseen circumstances. So we have our SWOT overall slide, and then next is our recommendations for investors. I did some research and found that investors should buy, but in moderation. Marriott, they should buy because Marriott is the leading hotel brand in the world, and they are growing significantly. But they, like I said about like Hilton and such, they're being surpassed in some areas by other leading competitors. So definitely buying, but keeping it in moderation. The next reason is because customers are becoming more and more loyal, especially because of like the loyalty rewards program. With more customers being loyal, it's more revenue, and it's going to be a wise decision to buy. And then lastly is their large presence in the global market. So if something happens in one country, it's not all going to crash because they have so many properties and so much foothold within other countries within the rest of the global environment. So this is why it would be another reason why it would be a smart decision to buy for investors. And then lastly is recommendations for the company. So I think that they should focus on following trends and marketing via social media and online platforms because of the increase in millennial and the younger people that are coming to more stay at hotels. So just marketing to them, appealing more to them, and I think that's going to bring in a lot more revenue and business. Next is to implement cost-cutting strategies, especially with these the rising operational costs and their amount of debt, that they should really work on making these cost-cutting strategies as best as they can, as long as they're feasible, in order to prepare for these changes and rises in cost. And then lastly is to just expand cybersecurity, expand our security for our systems, for customers, for the hotels themselves, and just to be able to protect customer sensitive information much better, to avoid malicious attacks that can bring down the company's reputation and bring down the way customers see Marriott. So those are my recommendations for the company, and that's all. Thank you.